We are no longer commanded to kneel before God, country, ancestor, duty, or truth. Today, the machine asks you to kneel before yourself. This is the oldest rebellion wearing the newest interface. Pride is not merely confidence. It is not strength, competence, or the clean vertical posture of a man who has mastered his craft. Pride is the enthronement of the self as final authority. It is the moment the creature looks into the polished black glass and says, "There is nothing above me. There is no law I did not invent. There is no judgment I must endure. There is only my image, my appetite for recognition, my private kingdom of mirrors." In former ages, pride built towers, palaces, empires, and dynasties. It carved faces into stone and forced whole populations to bow before the name of one ruler. But the modern age has democratized the throne. Now every citizen is handed a crown made of pixels. Every man is invited to become a sovereign brand. Every woman is instructed to treat her face, her opinions, her wounds, her body, her victories, and her grievances as public property in a market of admiration. This is the first deception of pride, the illusion of elevation. You are told that constant self-display is empowerment. You are told that visibility is dignity, that attention is value, that a large enough audience can redeem the emptiness of your private room. But this is a lie of the tribunal cathedral. The machine does not elevate you. It enlarges your shadow on the wall so you will mistake the shadow for a soul. Look at the glowing profile. It is an icon without sanctity. It is a little altar to the curated self built from angles, captions, slogans, and selective memory. You polish it, you defend it, you feed it daily with declarations and images. You watch the numbers rise and fall as if they were a pulse. Slowly, the profile becomes less like a tool and more like a master. You begin to ask what the image requires before you ask what the truth requires. The proud man does not merely want to be seen. He wants reality itself to bend around his self-conception. He wants every room to confirm him, every disagreement to flatter him, every wound to become evidence of his importance. He cannot receive correction because correction implies a law above the self. He cannot confess because confession would fracture the statue. He cannot learn because learning begins with the sentence he hates most, "I do not know." Thus pride builds the first prison, a throne with no exit. Let us inspect the architecture of the synthetic self. The modern personal brand is not a reputation. Reputation is earned slowly in the physical world through repeated conduct under pressure. It is what remains when witnesses have watched you keep your word, endure boredom, repair your failures, and return to the work without applause. A reputation has weight because it is tied to memory, labor, and consequence. The personal brand is different. It is reputation without ordeal. It is a manufactured aura, a surface engineered to precede the person and replace him. It asks not, "What have you become through discipline?" It asks, "How can your image be positioned? How can your contradiction be hidden? How can your wound be converted into authority? How can your ordinary life be inflated into a mythology of uniqueness?" Pride loves this machine because the brand gives the ego a uniform. The branded self is always announcing. It announces its values, its superiority, its suffering, its taste, its ambitions, its moral purity, its transformation, its chosen tribe. It must always be legible to the crowd. It must always produce a signal. Silence terrifies it because silence cannot be monetized into status. Obscurity terrifies it because obscurity leaves the soul alone with God and concrete. There was once a distinction between the person and the public mask. Today, the mask has eaten the face. You see men perform wisdom before they have endured the years required to possess it. You see leaders perform strength while outsourcing every hard decision to popularity metrics. You see wounded souls perform healing in real time, turning the sacred privacy of recovery into serialized content for strangers. You see children trained to understand themselves not as souls under formation, but as future media properties. The brand does not ask whether you are becoming truthful. It asks whether you are becoming recognizable. This is why the proud age is also an anxious age. A A man who lives by the image must constantly guard the image. He must monitor tone, lighting, association, controversy, and applause. He must read the room before he speaks. He must calculate what version of himself will survive the feed. The king of the profile is also the servant of the audience. He is crowned by strangers and therefore ruled by strangers. The ancient tyrant feared the assassin. The modern narcissist fears being ignored. Pride is no longer a private vice. It has become a civic operating system. Look upon the ranking exchange. It is everywhere and nowhere. It lives in follower counts, income screenshots, leaderboards, dating markets, academic titles, luxury signals, physique displays, ideological purity contests, productivity scoreboards, and the subtle arithmetic of social comparison. The human person is translated into rank. The soul becomes a metric. The name becomes a ticker symbol. This is not excellence. Excellence serves the task. Pride forces the task to serve the ego. There's a holy form of ambition. It is quiet, severe, and obedient to standards outside the self. The mason wants the stone to stand. The writer wants the sentence to become true. The monk wants the hour of prayer to be clean. The craftsman disappears into the work. His reward is not domination, but alignment. He is not inflated by mastery. He is humbled by how much remains beyond him. Pride corrupts ambition by reversing the order. It does not ask, what does the work demand? It asks, what will this make people think of me? It does not ask, how do I serve the truth? It asks, how do I occupy the highest position in the room? It turns every discipline into theater. Fitness becomes exhibition. Learning becomes quotation. Spirituality becomes aesthetic. Leadership becomes self-mythology. Even sacrifice becomes a costume. The ranking exchange teaches you to look sideways and upward at all times. Who is above you? Who is beneath you? Who has recognized you? Who failed to recognize you? Who must be surpassed? Who must be publicly corrected so your own height can be measured against their fall? This is the hidden misery of pride. It cannot rest. The proud man can never simply stand on the stone floor and breathe. He must know where he stands in the hierarchy. He must scan the room. He must protect his place. He must convert every encounter into evidence of superiority or humiliation. Praise intoxicates him for a moment, but soon it fades, and he requires a stronger dose. Criticism poisons him for days because it threatens the statue he has built in the center of his chest. He is not powerful, he is fragile at cathedral scale. Dante imagined the proud bent beneath stones. The image is exact. Pride tells a man he is rising, but in truth it loads him with the impossible weight of his own importance. He must carry the monument of himself everywhere. He must drag his inflated identity through every conversation, every friendship, every conflict, every failure. No wonder he is exhausted. No wonder his face hardens. No wonder he cannot laugh honestly or repent cleanly. He is buried beneath the throne he wanted. The proud soul has one true enemy, correction. Correction is the cold chisel of reality. It strikes the false edge. It removes what does not belong. It hurts because it separates the living stone from the dead excess. Every serious tradition of formation understands this. The novice must be corrected. The apprentice must be corrected. The soldier must be corrected. The son must be corrected. Without correction, the will remains swollen, childish, and useless. But the modern cult of the self has made correction feel like violence. We have trained ourselves to experience disagreement as injury, limits as oppression, hierarchy as humiliation, and expertise as a threat to personal sovereignty. The ego now claims diplomatic immunity from reality. It says, my feelings are evidence, my preferences are doctrine, my identity is law, my self-description is unquestionable. This is how pride disables growth. If no one can correct you, no one can help you. If no standard can judge you, no standard can refine you. If your self-image must be protected at all costs, then every teacher becomes an enemy, every failure becomes an excuse, and every mirror must be smashed unless it flatters. The proud man mistakes insult for truth because truth often enters through humiliation. He does not understand that humiliation, properly received, is medicinal. It lowers the fever of the ego. It returns the soul to human scale. It reminds the creature of its creaturehood. The old monastic orders understood this. They did not build men by flattering their uniqueness. They built men by submitting them to rhythm, silence, obedience, labor, and correction. The bell rang and the monk obeyed. The floor was dirty and the monk cleaned it. The body was tired and the monk prayed. He was not asked how the ritual made him feel about his identity. He was asked to become faithful. Pride cannot survive this regime because pride requires exception. The proud man always believes his case is special. His anger is justified. His laziness is complicated. His indulgence is artistic. His betrayal is understandable. His vanity is branding. His domination is leadership. His refusal to listen is strength. He gives noble names to his decay because plain words would force him to kneel. But the stone does not care what name you give the crack. If the wall is weak, it falls. Pride promises sovereignty, but it delivers isolation. To be proud is to live behind a fortified self. The walls are high, polished, and cold. Nothing humiliating may enter. No plea may expose dependence. No apology may reveal guilt. No gratitude may reveal need. The proud soul must pretend to be self-created, self-sustaining, and self-justifying. This is why pride destroys love. Love requires the sentence, I need you. Pride refuses it. Love requires the sentence, I was wrong. Pride chokes on it. Love requires the sentence, forgive me. Pride calls it weakness. Love requires the surrender of image in favor of communion. Pride would rather remain admired at a distance than known up close. The personal brand can attract an audience, but it cannot build a brotherhood. The ranked self can dominate a room, but it cannot receive mercy. The inflated ego can command attention, but it cannot sit at a plain table with equal souls and share bread without calculation. The throne is always lonely. Look at the rulers of the synthetic age. They are surrounded by cameras, staff, followers, admirers, enemies, analysts, and noise. Yet they cannot be touched. Every relationship is contaminated by performance. Every friendship is suspect. Every praise may be strategic. Every silence may be betrayal. The man who wanted to become untouchable eventually discovers that untouchable also means unreachable. This isolation spreads downward into ordinary lives. The young man cannot ask for guidance because he has performed certainty for too long. The young woman cannot leave the image because the image has become her economy. The father cannot apologize to his son because the father mistakes authority for infallibility. The leader cannot reverse course because the crowd would see him bend. The student cannot admit ignorance because ignorance would break the illusion of exceptional destiny. Whole societies become unteachable this way. A civilization captured by pride cannot repent. It can only rebrand. It cannot say, we were wrong. It can only say, the narrative has evolved. It cannot mourn its failures. It produces campaigns. It cannot return to truth. It manufactures optics. And beneath the optics, the foundations crack. The mascot stands before the self-idolatry throne in the concrete tribunal. He sees the crowds kneeling before their enlarged faces. He sees the ranking boards flash with influence, dominance, beauty, wealth, and applause. He sees the silent terror in their bodies, the fear of falling one level lower in the eyes of strangers. He does not envy them. He does not condemn them with noise. He simply witnesses the tragedy. He knows that the only free man in the room is the one willing to kneel before something higher than himself. How do we resist the throne of the synthetic self? We do not resist it by hating ourselves. Humility is not self-contempt. Self-contempt is only pride wearing a black robe, still obsessed with the self, still measuring, still dramatizing its own importance through despair. True humility is cleaner and harder. It is accurate vision. It is the ability to stand before truth without demanding that truth flatter you. First, submit to standards outside your mood. Choose a craft, a discipline, a vow, a rule, a sacred text, a physical practice, a daily office. Let it judge you. Let it reveal your weakness without negotiating with your ego. The barbell does not care about your identity. The page does not care about your intention. The cold floor does not care about your brand. The truth does not care about your audience. Good. Let the indifferent standard become your mercy. Second, practice hidden obedience. Do useful things that cannot be converted into applause. Clean the room without announcing your new era of discipline. Give money without attaching your name to the stone. Train before sunrise without filming the evidence. Apologize without explaining why you were wounded too. Read difficult books without posting the stack. Let whole regions of your virtue remain invisible. Invisible virtue is poison to pride. Third, receive correction quickly. When the chisel strikes, do not worship the pain. Listen, ask what is true. Separate the wound of the ego from the wound of injustice. Most of the time, your pride is simply bleeding because reality touched it. Let it bleed. The swelling will go down. A corrected man is not a diminished man. He is a man under construction. Fourth, kneel before truth every day. In the brutalist sanctuary, the altar is plain concrete. There is no decorative softness, no flattering mirror, no screen to enlarge the self. There is only the weight of the stone, the cold air, the narrow amber light, and the silence that does not negotiate. Stand there long enough, and the false king in your chest will begin to starve. You are not the source, you are not the summit, you are not the law. You are a creature under formation, a worker under command, a soul under judgment, a brother among brothers, a temporary body walking through a world you did not create and cannot finally control. This is not humiliation. This is liberation. The burden of being your own God is too heavy for human shoulders. Step down from the throne, break the mirror, let the crown fall into the dust. Welcome to the order, kneel before truth, rise without vanity, and return to the